Things Admin, Admin Tech Crash Course. My name is Julie Perrine. I'm the founder and CEO of All Things Admin, and I'm very pleased you're joining us for today's presentation. The Admin Tech Crash Course is a technology-focused training program for busy professionals. Our goal with each session is to create a crash course on the relevant technology topics that you need to stay current on the technology and software you use each day so that you can be more productive and proficient in everything you do. And today's webinar is Save Time Using Microsoft Quick Parts in Word and Outlook. And our speaker is Donna Gilliland. Donna's career in technology began back when DOS was king of the computer operating system for the personal computer. Floppies were actually floppy, and the internet had just begun to explode. And at that time in her career, there were no training companies. You either learned it on your own or went back to school, and Donna did both. Donna's career in the corporate world started as an executive assistant. She worked in a programming department supporting a staff of programmers and the VP of IT. But that was just the beginning. Over time, she realized that she had an aptitude for learning software technologies and had the ability to communicate to others in terms that everyone could understand. And her love of helping people, business, and technology made a great fit for her future career in teaching and speaking. Today, Donna is an award-winning technology instructor, certified technology trainer, and the president of Most Training. Please join me in a warm virtual welcome for Donna Gilliland.
Thank you, Julie. Well, you are going to learn so much today. The big thing is when you go back to apply what you've learned, you're going to potentially save a considerable amount of time. It depends upon how much you have that is information that repeats itself that you need to put into documents or even emails. So we'll get started. So so what you're here, of course, to learn is about quick parts, but they're also called building blocks. And I'm going to start with an explanation of just how things are laid out in Microsoft Word in terms of these quick parts that are already in existence, and then from there to us creating custom quick parts that you might use. So, for example, and I have some things up on the screen right now, Julie's picture and her book and a few other things we're going to use to create our quick parts. But I'm going to get to a new document here for a moment. So let's just start in this way. For example, on the Insert ribbon. On the Insert ribbon, you have a Pages group and cover pages. Well, these cover pages are built-in building blocks, if you will. It's built-in content. So there is a cover page group. Now, if I go to, for example, from the Insert ribbon over to the Header Footer group, and I choose Header, well, there it comes, this pre-built list, built-in header pieces that I can choose from. I want you to keep this in mind because there's a very strategic reason why you want to keep these in mind, you know, what's called a cover page group, the built-ins, header built-ins, etc. Because when we create things today that are relative to a cover page or to a custom header that you might create and want to retain, it's going to be easier that if there is a built-in library for what you're creating to store it there so that you can access it quicker. You'll see what I mean as we progress along. So there's the header, footer. These are built-ins. Even when you get to the text boxes, and I'm still on the Insert ribbon, these are all built-ins. So if you get the idea, then we'll go ahead and move forward by creating some of these and then storing them. And I'll go back to my document with some of my text. Now, we'll start with an image, although something I haven't described is the fact that you can store just about anything. It could be an image, a table that you've created, that you've designed just the way you look. It took a lot of time to design it and lay it out, and now you want to reuse it all the time. So the text can become a quick part. An image can be a quick part, as in a table. A number of things you can store as quick parts. And as you saw a moment ago, you could create your own headers, footers, and go from there. So we're going to start with Julie's image. So whenever I'm writing marketing materials, things that I need often, or blocks of content I need often, or pieces of content, then I store them into quick parts so that I can have them again. And that another reason they call them building blocks is because we are creating content from blocks of information that we bring in. But it all starts the same way. You have to select whatever it is that you're planning to store for future use. And since this is an image, all I have to do is click once on the image. And then you begin, once selected, you begin by going to the Insert tab on your ribbon. Once you're there, on the far right, you have a group of tools called Text, and then there's a button that says Quick Parts. And you'll learn several things as we progress along today about this Quick Parts drop-down list. So now looking at Quick Parts, at the very end, you have an option that says Save Selection to Quick Part Gallery, which is exactly what I want to do with Julie Perrine's image. When this box pops up, you need to become very educated to what's here and why you're going to select one thing over another. As soon as you choose that you want to create a quick part from a selection, the very first thing that you have to do is name your quick part. So on this one, I'm going to call this one Julie, P for Perrine, just to keep from having to type it in full. And then the gallery, that's very important, the gallery. Right now my gallery says Quick Parts, but when you click the down arrow, you will get a list of all the galleries that come with Microsoft Word. A moment ago, I was showing you the gallery for cover pages, and that's on the Insert ribbon, Cover Page button in the Pages group. So take a look at my list. See? Cover pages. Well, this image isn't relative to cover pages, so I wouldn't choose from cover pages. It doesn't even qualify for, headers or footers or table of contents. So in that case, Quick Parts becomes the best place for, or is the best place for me to put it into a gallery. You'll see more as we go along, and it'll become clearer and clearer. Now the category. The category helps you group information that belongs together. For example, here where it says Category General, click the down arrow, and I'm going to create a new category, and up pops a box to give a name, and I'm going to call this category Speaker Photos. That way, if I'm working with more and more speakers and I'm writing marketing materials, and I want to bring that image in quickly, then all my images are going to be located in that one category. That's different from a gallery, though. You'll see shortly. So speaker photos, description, strictly up to you. It's not going to be visible to anybody but you when the time comes for you to edit. So it's for your information if you'd like to add some information in the description box. It can be helpful if you have other people working with you and they're using these quick parts. The description could be helpful for them. Now the Save In is set to building blocks. I'm going to click the down arrow to the right because you need to know what's the difference between normal building blocks and built-in building blocks. These three choices are all relative to three different types of templates that Microsoft Word works with for the storage of these building blocks that you are creating. Normal is the template that controls all of Microsoft Word. So if I store it in normal, then it's going to be available to all documents, but it's going to be available even if you choose building blocks, because building blocks is just another type of template, and that template's automatically loaded whenever you open up Word. Now, I don't want to get too technical with this, but I do want to end on this one note. It is important at some point in time that you become more knowledgeable about templates, because as you store these building blocks that you're creating, if you get a new computer, all these building blocks, these quick parts you've created, you want to be able to bring them with you over to a new computer. That's not in your documentation. It's me adding something additional and for you to think about. So you want to be very strategic about your planning of all these quick parts that you're creating, and plan for possibly having to either share a template with someone who wants the same building blocks you've created, or that you need on a new computer that you're getting. So these are the 3 templates that come with the program. And they are files that can be shared, but I want to give you a warning about that, and I'm going to move on to our steps for creating and using all these different type building blocks. The building blocks, I believe there's actually a folder in your Windows called Building Blocks, and these templates end with .x, D-O-T-X. So if you were to send, say, the normal template to someone, just keep in mind that whatever is in your normal .x template, and you were to share that file with someone and they loaded it and overwrote their own normal .x, then any customization they've done to their normal template for their computer is overwritten with the one you sent them. So another way around that, without us getting too deep, because we have such a short period of time, and we can talk in more detail later, and you're certainly welcome to email me, is that you can also create everything into a single template that can be shared. But for right now, your primary focus today is I'm on my computer. I want to shorten the amount of time that I'm taking pulling things into my document, and how do I create all these blocks of content that I can reuse and reuse while I'm working with Word, and that's what we're doing. So here, if I stay with the default building blocks, then the last option is Insert Content Only, but there's a down arrow, and you have 3 choices for how to insert the information in the future. Insert just the content, insert it into its own paragraph, or insert it into its own page. For example, on that last one, if I were working with a cover page I had created, I definitely want my cover page to be in its own page and then give me a page break after. So that absolutely would be a choice I would want in that example. But I just want to insert the content only, and then everything's filled out. The name of my building block is Julie P. for Perrine. I'm placing it in a gallery called Quick Parts. I've created a specialized category for speaker photos, opted out of the description, and I'm using the building blocks template. And now I'm going to click on OK. So now I'm going to delete Julie's picture. So now when you're in the document and you're ready to use whatever image or whatever it is that you're saving, I'm going back to Quick Parts. And if you look closely, you see the words Speaker Photos and Julie P. And Julie P. is the name of the Quick Part. And then Speaker Photos is the category. Now, Quick Parts is the gallery I chose. And when you choose Quick Parts as the gallery, then every time you click the Quick Part button, it drops down, shows you everything that you placed in that gallery. So it gives you this quick access to it. So now if I put in any more images and I chose that category, they would all be here. Let me do another one here. I don't have a picture, another picture of me, so I'm going to use this copy I have in front of me because we can always edit it out since it's handy and right here in front of me. So once again, it is a select. In an image, it's click, it is selected. Going back, I'm still on the Insert ribbon, Text Group, Quick Parts. And I do want to save selection to Quick Part Gallery. And I'll name this one. Of course, and here it says Quick Parts, Gallery, Category. And see, when I click the down arrow for Category, there it is, Speaker Photos. And if I chose Speaker Photos, which I won't for this one because it's not a photograph of a person, But if I choose speaker photos and I give it the OK, when I do click Quick Parts again, the image will be grouped in under the category of speaker photos. Now, this is a power tip for you. This is not in your handout, but this is a power tip. A moment ago, when I created the quick part for Julie, I named it Julie P. If you know the name of a quick part and you don't want to go back to the quick parts list to retrieve it, you can type the quick part name, follow by pressing function key F3, and the quick part will come in. So if I type in Julie P, and then I press function key, so this is a bonus tip, function key F3, in pops Julie Perrine. No space or anything after the name of the quick part, just the name and followed by function key F3. So let's dig in deeper. Now let's do I'm going to do a footer, but I'm going to start first with a footer that's built in. I'm going to customize it to my liking, which is probably what you do as well. And then we're going to save that quick part, but in a different gallery this time. So I'm choosing footer, and I am still on the insert ribbon for these activities. I am going to start as my base point with one of the built-ins. I'm going to start with the retrospect built-in. And the retrospect built-in gives you a border. And it's got the name of the company and the page number, so I can change that to whatever I want. Actually, let's do Julie's website. Now, for time's sake, I won't keep putting things into the footer. The objective is that you're using the footer built-in as a base point and modifying it to your liking. You may even want to change the color of the border, but you get the idea. So now I would select what I've modified. And after getting it selected, you would again return to the insert ribbon. And we are doing another quick part in the text group. And then I'll choose down at the bottom to save the selection of the quick part gallery. But this is where it will be different in terms of the gallery. Now I'm going to call this one All Things, I'm going to call it ATA for All Things Admin, ATA footer. But the gallery, on the gallery, it would be better to put in this situation the footer in the pre-built gallery called footers. And from the list, here are all the built-ins, and there is a gallery for footers. And the category, of course, is built-ins, but you could create another category if you want, but this works fine for what I'm using. It is saving it in the building blocks template, but of course I could change that. We talked about that moments ago. And I do just want it to insert content only, and click on OK. So I'm going to eliminate this. It's actually a table in this particular one. Just a side note to you, when you're using these built-ins, as in terms of the header and the footer, it may actually be a table that it's using for that specific style. The way you can tell that is when you look up at my screen, and again this is a side note, it shows table tools, so that's how I know, besides looking at it, this is actually a table, that design was a table. And I'm going to delete that real quick. All right, now if I wanted to use that footer now, back to the insert ribbon, which is where you would go for headers and footers. And I didn't store it in the quick parts gallery. I stored it in the built-in footer gallery. And after clicking the down arrow for the footer gallery, take a close look. There's one for blank, one called blank 3 column, and then down below it, there's ATA footer. And there's my footer, www.allthingsadmin.com. So anything custom, if there's a built-in category for it, it's much better for you to group it accordingly. I'm going to come down to a different document. We have lots of goodies to cover. So for example, here's a document that has marketing copy that I plan to use multiple times over the next few months. Now certainly I could open up a document. You've probably done it yourself. You open a document, you grab the paragraph you want, and you copy and you paste. But that takes time, trying to locate the file and then going through the process of the copy and the paste. It's just unproductive. So the best thing to do is make it a quick part. So now in terms of this information, the part that I know is always going to stay the same for some future marketing is going to be the verbiage starting here. I'm going to select everything that I want to reuse. All right, so it's selected. Back to the insert ribbon, text group, quick parts, and then from here I'm going to choose save selection to quick part gallery. And keep in mind that this doesn't fall into the category of a cover page, a table, a text box, so I don't have any built-in categories to put it in. The best place on this one is going to be quick parts. Now you notice that in the name box, what happens is when you are working with text, where we started with Julie's image, so there was nothing in the name box but an asterisk. But if you are selecting text, then Word will pick up the first few words of the selected text. And of course, you can change that, which is exactly what I'm about to do. I'm going to call this one FB Instagram, since this has to do with a Facebook and Instagram event. And I do want it to go into quick parts because it doesn't fit any of these other categories. And I am going to create a new category for it. And this category is going to be called Social Media Market for Marketing. And I do want this to still be insert content only. I don't need it to go to a new page on its own. And I'll give it the OK. Now I've gone to a brand new document. I'm not in the document I was demonstrating from at all. I just created a brand new document. From the insert ribbon, from quick parts, there's that category, social media market, for social media marketing, and there's the name of the quick part, FB Instagram. And when I click, in comes the verbiage that I need, and I've got it from document to document to document. Now I don't have to pull up any more files just to get the blurbs that I need. I find this very helpful when I'm writing contracts too. Contracts are different, from customer to customer, and certain blocks stay the same. And it's so helpful. All right, let's move forward. We have several more things to go. Before I get into the building block organizer, since we're still on this thought of quick parts, I want you to have another power tip, which is the adding of the quick parts, or the AutoText rather, which is what this is, to adding AutoText to your quick access toolbar. Let me do one more activity with this first. so it'll be clear for you. I'm going to get back to the other document. Here we go. I'm going to use Julie's image here. Kickstart your career with Julie's latest book, Innovative Admin. And of course, you know the routine. Select, Quick Parts, save selection to Quick Parts Gallery. I'm going to call this one Julie Book. Now on the gallery, you haven't been shown this at all. In the gallery, there's a gallery called AutoText. Now, if you store anything into the AutoText, you can go back later and you can add an AutoText icon to your quick access toolbar. And then anything you wanted to pull that you've placed into the AutoText can be pulled through the icon by clicking the icon. So this is just another way, another place to get it stored, and then another access point. And see, the other benefit to this is, think about it, the way I've been doing it, which is fine, great, and this is the way I do it most of the time. But in order to get to that quick parts list, we've been on the insert ribbon. You might not be on the insert ribbon when you're ready to use one of these quick parts. Now, from here, if I choose AutoText, that's the gallery. And right now it's saying that it's going to save it in normal. Keep in mind that normal is the template that all of Word is based off of. And when we do go to exit, or when I go to exit in the demonstration today, Word's going to ask me, it's going to tell me that I've made some changes to building blocks, something along those lines, and do I want to store that into the template? And if you say no to that, then you won't have these quick parts available to you from document to document if you don't respond with yes. All right, I'm going to give this the OK. It is going to AutoText. I'm going to delete that image for a moment and delete Julie's image. Now here's your bonus part, your bonus tip. You can add an AutoText button to the Quick Access toolbar. At the very top, your Quick Access toolbar resides in the top left unless you have specifically requested that it be below your ribbon. It should be at your top left. At the very end of your Quick Access toolbar, which you've got in all your Office programs, there's a down arrow at the right. So when I click the down arrow, what you would want to do is go to the option More Commands. More Commands. I'm going to remove mine. I had already added it. Now here's the thing to do. When you're looking for something to add to that Quick Access toolbar and you're not certain what category it's in, as you look at my screen here, I'll turn the spotlight on for us. Right here, when you get here to the Quick Parts More Commands, you are in the popular commands, but there's quite a list of libraries of commands that you can get to. But here's the point. The point is, when you don't know where a certain something is, you can change from popular commands to all commands, and then you can search from the list. Now I know from this list, now I'm seeing everything. If you click in the list, this is the list on the left, click anything in the list. The reason why I'm saying that is because this is a shortcut. When you activate the list, then if you press a letter of something you want, in our case AutoText, you'll be taken to the choices that begin with an A. I'm going to scroll on down. And I'm looking for AutoText. Looking for AutoText. Almost there. Auto. And there it is. Right? So here is AutoText. With a double click of AutoText, on the right-hand side of my screen, it has added AutoText at the very end of the shortcuts I've already added. And I'll follow with OK. And now, anything that you selected and stored to the gallery called AutoText, you can access it from that button, and you're not going from ribbon to ribbon to get things. So now if I click there's the button. It's very tiny, hard to see, but when you hover over it, it will say AutoText, and I will click the down arrow for the AutoText, and then look, all the things that I've stored in AutoText so far. I'd stored something prior to us coming online together, and then moments ago I stored the image of Julie's book. And if I click, in comes Julie's image about the innovative admin. So that's just a bonus for you, is storing things to AutoText and then giving yourself a quick access on your toolbar. All right, well, let's do another one. I'm going to use the admin success at allthingsadmin.com. I'm going to use that one as a for example. Now this, of course, I'll have to click and drag to select, because here's where we're headed. You have yet to cover the building block organizer, because what happens is you get your paragraph in, you get your table in or image, and then you realize that image needs to be smaller or larger, or I want to reformat that table to look a different way. You would need to know how to make those changes and get it back into the building blocks and some other specifics. So there's only certain things you can do with the building block organizer, and we're about to start that here in just a moment. All right, I've got this email selected. I'm going to Quick Parts, and down at the bottom you see it says AutoText. So do I want to put it in AutoText, or do I want to come all the way down to the bottom, choose Save Selection to a Quick Part Gallery, because maybe my intent is not to make it part of AutoText, so I have to get to Save Selection to Quick Part Gallery to get my choices. But on this one, I know I want it in AutoText, so there's no reason for you to have to go through the Save Selection to Quick Part Gallery. You can go ahead and choose AutoText, and when you choose AutoText, see what happens is you will see what you've already stored to AutoText, and then down below it says Save Selection to AutoText Gallery, and then the box pops up. So it depends upon which way you want to go, and it says that the name is Admin Success at All Things Admin, because that's the line that's selected, and I'm going to change the name. And it's already defaulting to AutoText. And I'll give it the OK. And I'm going back to my toolbar, to my AutoText button, and there it is. But did you notice how that it's under General? Because I bypassed the step that says Save Selection to Gallery. I just went with the shortcut and chose AutoText. And but I didn't. In that box, though, I could have specified a gallery, and I didn't. I stayed with General. I should have given that a category. I'm all about categories, storing everything in one place together that belongs together. All right, so now let's get to that building blocks organizer and why you need to know about it. So we're going back to Quick Parts, and at this moment in time, this has nothing to do with us selecting anything for storage. It's to help you come to an understanding of what is the building blocks organizer and why you need to use it from time to time. So I'm still on the Insert ribbon. I have gone back to Quick Parts, and I'm coming all the way down to choose Building Blocks Organizer. When you get to the Building Blocks Organizer, what it is it lists for you everything that is stored into these building block templates. Now, there is the building block template called Built-in, and then there are those that you've created. We have also galleries. If you notice, as you look, I'll turn the spotlight on. Here's a name column. And then there's a gallery column. So in the gallery, you're able to see what gallery you stored things to. I created 2 today, one before our event and one during, one for the admin success. I placed that in the AutoText gallery, as I did for Julie's book image. And then it will tell you the name of the category if you went with the general or if you created one. And coming on down, I have a cover page that I had created, not in this session, and then I had placed it in a category for social media. Now here's what we're going to do with what's here. I'm going to start with the cover page, or the cover page for Doable Social Summit. When you select a building block from this organizer, you're very limited as to what you can do. You should know that it is not the route to revising your content. So if I had stored some paragraphs of information and realized that I needed to make edits to the verbiage in one of the paragraphs, you would have to insert that quick part you created, make your change to the paragraph, whatever is needed, and you would have to reselect, just like we did ago, and store it under the same name, and then you will be asked if you want to redefine it, and you'll say yes, and then it will replace it. But as far as this box goes, here are the only things you can do. Once you select a building block, you have a button for Edit Properties, the option to clean it out altogether so it's not available. That's for delete. And then there's the Insert option. Now, as a general rule, if I'm just needing to insert, I'm not coming to this mass list of all the building blocks that are there, from the ones I've created to the ones that came with the program. That's why that we want everything organized in certain places so they're accessible a lot quicker than coming here. So let's deal with the Edit Properties. I'm on the Doable Social Summit, Edit Properties, and the box pops up. And when the box pops up, it shows you the name, gallery that you chose to put it in, and category, and the template that you're saving it in. So for this one, it's set to insert content in its own page, which I do want that, but let's just say that you hadn't created it that way in the beginning, then I can choose to insert it in its own paragraph. A different gallery if I like. Maybe I wanted this one to be an AutoText, although in the real world, I don't want my cover pages in the AutoText. I do like having them in the cover page, but that's me. So I'm going to choose AutoText for this one. And then on the category, I'm going to create a new category. And I did choose AutoText. I think I'm going to change this back to insert into its own page, because that's really how it belongs. Let me give it the OK. And when you make these property changes, you are asked if you want to redefine the building block entry. And of course you do, because you made these property changes. And now I'm going to close this building block organizer. And I did place that as an auto text. So if I use my button I added to my toolbar, since I chose a different gallery, there it is, Doable Social Summit. This is an event that was back in the fall. And since I did leave it at insert in its own page, it has inserted it in its own page, see, separate from the other page that I had going. Because when you do that, it gives you a page break prior and a page break below. Now, if I wanted to make changes here, for example, the date, I just want to leave this as generic. Maybe I'm going to reuse it for other things I don't want a date. Well, then I would have to reselect this and resave it, and if I use the same name as I created it under before, then it will ask you if you wanted to redefine. and then it would write out over the old. So the main point to this last piece is that if you need to make edits to the content that you've already saved, you'll have to insert it back in. Make the changes, reselect it, and save it back into wherever you saved it before, you know, what the gallery and using the same name. Okay, so now, and of course we're going to work with Outlook. We have several things to work with. And before I go to our next piece, just don't forget that when you are selecting items, I'm going to go to a third page here and do a demonstration here. All right, so now from the insert ribbon, I'm going to choose a text box. Now I use text boxes a lot in marketing materials, and I often start with one of the ones that's already created, and then I'll modify it to my liking. So I'm going to choose one from the list here. And choose the one for Wisp sidebar. So then comes the text box. And of course I'd put whatever verbiage and change it the way that I want it. Now the point to this activity is just really a reminder for you, just a reminder, is that I do have a built-in gallery for text boxes. I was just in it. So for me, I would rather have it stored into the gallery for the text boxes because there is a gallery for it. In my case, I don't necessarily want it in the AutoText group. So while it's selected, you would have to go back to Insert. And this is a quick part. And I am saving selection to quick part gallery. And as always, you know, I've got to name it. I'm going to call this one Most. And with the gallery that says Quick Parts, I don't want it to go in Quick Parts. I want it to go in the built-in that it is best suited to, which is from the list. It is suited to the built-in list of text boxes. And then I'm going to have it from that list in the future. And I'm going to click on OK. So don't forget that when you want to eliminate quick parts that you created completely out of your program, then you can go to Quick Parts and go to the Building Blocks Organizer. You can find this in your list and choose it, and then you can choose to delete. So that's how you would do some cleaning house, Now from here, I want to cover with you how you would make use of quick parts in your email. Now in Microsoft Outlook, you know, we don't have all the bells and whistles for the quick parts building of the building blocks like we do in Microsoft Word. But here's how it will work. I'll go ahead and go into Outlook. I'm going to start a new email. Now, when you want quick parts that are available when you're in email, then you're going to need to take whatever and paste it into an email and then select it and then bring it in. Let me go back here and get something from our Word document that we can work with. Let's bring Julie's picture and use our little shortcut. Julie. Julie P. And press Function key F3. And I'm going back to my email. But before I do anything with this and create a quick part from it, just know that when you are in an email form, you know, you've opened up an email, then it is from the Insert ribbon, just like it is when you're in Microsoft Word. The Insert ribbon, you have a text group, and you have a Quick Parts button. When you click your Quick Parts, It's going to show any that you've created. I'm showing my AutoText, but do you see how what's shown here, these are the things I've created. You're not seeing any of the AutoText that I created back when I was in Microsoft Word because it's unique to Microsoft Outlook. So you'll have to create your pieces right here in Outlook. So you would paste those into an email as one method and then select it and store it as a quick part. So let me do that with Julie's picture. So here's Julie's picture. And if I want it available as a quick part, it's the same as you did before. You've got to have it selected. And then from the Insert ribbon part, there's an option for it to be an AutoText. There's the option to choose Save Selection to Quick Part Gallery, and you get that same familiar dialog box. And on this one, I'm going to call it Julie P. Or I'm going to make it Julie Photo. Gallery Quick Parts. And the quick part galleries that are here, they're relative to the galleries that are within Microsoft Outlook. And you know, some of that is the same from Word to Outlook because, so just remember that it has its own galleries as well, because as you can see here in the text group, there's a gallery for text boxes, for word art. All right, so I'm going to leave that at quick parts. I'm going to create a new category, photos, but then the save in, take note, it says normal email. You can see there's not a building block template. So this is the save in location. The insert, you do have a choice, or the same 3 choices you had back when we were in Word. All right, so I'm going to click on OK. I'm going to close this email. I'm going to start a new email. Okay. I'm coming down into the body of the email. Insert. Quick parts. And there's Julie. And there's my category called photos. And then, of course, the name of the quick part, which is Julie. And then pops Julie. So you'll have to grab what you need from your various documents or whatever the case might be, and then build them from within Outlook. Now here's another option for you, and this is not in your handout. You can also create an email template that would have everything that you wanted, and you could start with creating from the template, you know, down to everything that you needed an email to have within it. So once you get your email started and you've got the parts of everything that you want, and let me back up a minute. I want to make sure that this isn't confusing. You already see that I can create email after email and my quick parts are available. But there may be other things that you want to do within an email. You may want to lay out an email a certain way and then be able to create emails from that template that you create. So when you are ready to have an email saved as a template that you will create future emails off of, then this would be, the required would be to go to the File tab. So let me back up. Here I am in the email tab at the top, and when you click the File tab, it opens up the Backstage view for Outlook, and there is the Save As option. And then at the very bottom of the screen, it waits for you to give a file name. I'm going to call it this one. Practice temp. And then just beneath, you've got to change your save as type. Save as type. So the save as type, down arrow, far right, you're going to choose a template. This is assuming that that's what you're wanting to use it for, as a template. And take note at the very top of your screen that Outlook will choose a default location for that template. And in my case, I'm working with Office 2013, and the default location starts with App Data. And there's Roaming, Microsoft, and then Template, so that's where it's going to store that one. I'm going to go ahead and choose Save. Now, there are two ways for you to work with a template that you create in the future. And one way is when you are creating the email, you can choose file. Let me back up. I'm going to make this easy for us. Yeah, here we go. On the home ribbon, in the new group, you have an option that says New Items. When you click the down arrow, you have an option that says More Items. Then there's the option to get to a form that you have created. So choose a form. When you choose Form, what you're going to get are forms that come with the program. And while the template you saved might not be in the location that first comes up, here it says look in Standard Forms Library. But if you click the down arrow, you have one that says User Templates in File System, User Templates. And there's my template that I just saved, Outlook Practice Temp. So just know that when you create your own, they're being placed into this location called User Templates in File System. But I have a bonus for you on this. If you always want the form option, you can add the Developer tab to Outlook. It is not on by default. You have to add it. And here's how you can turn the Developer tab. And before I do that, here's one of the benefits of the Developer tab, and it has relativity to the use of the form. When you choose the Developer tab, once it's added to the ribbon, you have an option, you have a group actually of tools that says Custom Forms, and there's a button to choose a form, and up comes that box. So see, that's a lot less steps than what I went through a moment ago in order to get to the form that I had saved as a template. So here's how you would add the Developer tab. From your Quick Access toolbar at the very top, click the down arrow at the right, at the end, and we would need to go to More Commands. And here's what you would have to choose. From the left-hand side, because right now this has brought up Outlook options, and they're all categorized on the left. So on the left, it's that Quick Access toolbar, because that's where we started from. But what we need to get that Developer tab is the Customize Ribbon category on the left. By default, the Developer ribbon is not turned on. So once you choose Customize Ribbon, you want to look over to the last column on the right and look for the word Developer, and mine's already check marked because I had turned it on before we started today. So once you click that square and follow with OK, then you will have a Developer ribbon where you can quickly get to any forms that you've created. Now I want to keep this in mind. Today's not about creating forms in Outlook. You may have lots of questions about Outlook forms, but that's not something we can cover today. The reason for coming into Outlook, the primary reason, was that you be aware that you can create quick parts to a level from within Outlook and then have those quick parts available to you from the insert bin when you are creating an email. And then a bonus piece was you setting up an email in a look design you wanted and then saving it out as a template and then how you could use it. So that's additional information that I'm hopeful you'll find beneficial. All right, so I'm going to come back into Word. And I'm going to shut these things down so that you can see the message that you would get. I actually want to close Word altogether. I've got several versions, instances, if you will, going on. Waiting for it to give me my message. Bear with me. All right. When I closed down everything, you never saw a message, and I did come completely out of Word. I'm back in Word, but it's because I had stored it to the building blocks template. But had I chosen normal on any of those that I was working with, you would have been asked if you wanted to make changes to your normal dot file. And when you say yes, then all these additions, if the intent had been to place them in the normal template, you will be asked whether you want to do that or not. Wherein, in my case, and what you saw demonstrated, I used the default template that it was suggesting. And we have covered quite a bit, and I'm hoping you found it helpful. So we are at top of the hour, and I am more than glad to answer questions. And if there's something you're asking that I don't have an immediate answer to, you know what you're going to get. You'll get a video tutorial for it. So I'm ready for Q&A if you have questions.
Perfect. Thank you, Donna. The first question is, are the quick parts editable once you've inserted them into a new document?
Editable only in that I'd have to edit the content. For example, let me bring in this one. Here's the one on the Facebook, Instagram, and I decided to call it something else. Maybe you want to call this one Instagram 101. And now I would have to reselect the entire thing again. And I'd have to go right back through that process of insert and whatever I had done last if it was a quick part. And I'd have to choose Save Selection of Quick Part Gallery. And whatever name, Julie and whoever's asking, if I name it the same thing as what it was named before, it will come back and ask me, do I want to redefine it? And when I tell it yes, then it overwrites the old one with the new one. I can't remember what I named this one, otherwise I'd do it.
Right, but if all you wanted to do is just insert that and change the title and you're off and running, the text that you insert from a quick part can be edited then in the document you've inserted it in.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
All right, this question is, can you use quick parts in Lotus Notes email? We do not have Outlook yet.
Yeah, I used to teach Lotus Notes email eons ago, and of course it's not a Microsoft product, so I would say off the top of my head that that's that would be a no. I mean, I've learned in 25 years to never say never, but what I'm thinking off the top of my head is the fact that it is not a Microsoft product.
Okay, and this is a question that I also had, so I'm glad one of our attendees has asked. Can you share your can you share your custom quick parts with others in your office?
Yes, you can. You can share them by, and this is not. I want you all to know that this is not a quick and dry answer or process or step you would go through. And here's why. So let me see if I can make it as simple as it can be without the step-by-steps. One way of sharing is by sharing the template that it's stored in, because these when you were looking earlier, when I was creating, there was one called normal. There was one called building block, I think one called built-in. Those are actually all three templates that exist on your machine. And I believe they're all stored in a directory that's somewhere deep down the directory path, which I can get. It can be different from machine to machine depending upon your version. A folder called building blocks. So if I could get to that, say, let's say that you stored them in the template called building blocks. That was one of the choices. That's actually a file. And I could then share that file with someone, and they would have all my custom entries. But here's the danger of doing that. The danger is that if they overwrite, they've got the same named file. So then if they drop it into that folder where that exists, then it's overwrite it with yours. And they may have done some customization. So one resolve would be to create it all into just a standard Word template and then save the template itself, your Word document as a template. And you could share a template file with your colleagues.
That's a great idea, because we have the same issue at our office. If Ruth and I get some quick parts lists started here, we're both going to want all of the
yeah, absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely.
The questions that I had was, can I create a custom gallery, or can I only create categories within quick parts?
Just your categories. Because the galleries, when we get to galleries, I'll do one real quick so you can see. And I'm so glad that all of you are getting to come to the training, because sometimes you just overlook these tools that are there because you get so busy. But you save selection to Quick Part Gallery. See, there's the gallery option, Julie.
Mm-hmm.
And see, well, there's a custom. You could do that. Well, no, I don't. Julie, let me research the custom one too. I don't think that's what I, off the top of my head, is thinking that it is. That might be a video, Julie.
Oh, we love bonus videos.
I know. In fact, yeah, I'm seeing that becoming a video.
Okay, and then one last quick question here is, what is the advantage of using AutoText versus a quick part? Is it just fewer clicks?
Yes, because see, with the quick parts, if you store it in quick parts, it puts it in this initial gallery when you go to the down arrow for quick parts. And see, quick parts is on the insert ribbon. And I could come here and get to my AutoText, but see, I still have to come over here to the insert ribbon to quick parts. But in order to get to the AutoText category. But they have built in an AutoText option that we can put on your toolbar. As a matter of fact, I think it's more of a solution for those of you out in the audience, and it's certainly for Julie and I, go way back with Microsoft Word. And so certain features that existed in the old versions of Word, I think it was Alt F3 that you would use to bring in AutoText. It's been a long time and many versions ago, and some things have been changed in that respect. So I would say the quick answer is having one access point no matter what ribbon you're on, and then add the icon.
Perfect. And actually, we had one more question pop in, and then we'll call it a day once we get this one answered. Can you explain the document property and field options?
Well, those are options you're using really outside of creating the quick part. For example, let me get to the top here, because I covered a little bit of that when we were doing the section breaks. I had a need to use a field code. So for the insert ribbon, here we are, and we're getting to quick parts. And quick parts has multiple options, and one of them is to insert a field code if I needed it. So if I chose field, I get a list of all my fields. Now, to give you some perspective, especially if you've never worked with field codes, this is just a place for me to go to get a field code. There are multiple uses that I could go over that we can't because of time, but here is an example. If I were creating a footer, which we did in a webinar the other day, sometimes when you have text in the footer and then you decide, oh, I think I'm going to add a page number now, it gets rid of what you put in for the text, and one way around that is coming to Insert, to Quick Parts, Insert, and choose the field code called Page. So it's just a place for me to come quickly and get field codes that I need to place in my document. Now, I know I'm oversimplifying that answer, but that's only because field codes is such a deep topic just all its own.
Excellent. I'm going to have to play with that one. I saw a couple of little codes in there that I've been looking for ever since I switched over from another word processing program years ago. Excellent. All right. Well, with that, I think wraps up today's session. I want to thank each of you for being with us today and for investing your time and energy in developing some new skills. And the best way to take this back to your desk and to develop some new habits is to start using it. So hopefully you made a list of some quick parts that you'd like to create as soon as you get back to your desk today. Give that a try, and we'd love to hear how that works for you and how much time it starts to save you in the days and weeks ahead. So with that, we will conclude today's webinar. I want to thank each of you for being here. Thanks again for participating, and we look forward to seeing you in class again very soon. Have a productive afternoon, everyone.